That was nice. That was really nice. Of course, everyone who's been around for a while. First of all, I mean, StarCraft 2, you've probably been around for a while, but that last little shot with Oliveira falling to his knees, oh, that one got me in the feels then, and it still gets me in the feels now. And that's why we do this. We love the stories. And this weekend, I am very excited to see what stories unfold before us. But we're going to start things off with our first match of the day. Two players that would love to ink their names into the annals of history. Let's get the veto started.
Yeah, we can see right now Royal Blood and Ancient Cistern getting vetoed out. Cure and Spirit. And Steadfast, you talk about stories. Well, we have one tailor-made for us because Cure and Spirit were one of the stories in Katowice before we had, Oliveira and his miracle run. We had Spirit finally showing that power that he's talked about in practice games, on ladder, on things like that, where he went and he took Cure to 5 games, and I think realistically multiple times there, he should have won that series on the play-in bracket on the upper side. So the fact that we get to see a rematch here is tremendously exciting. We start with Neo Humanity, we get Altitude. Dragon Scales is going to be that final one, but Steadfast, the sad thing, Cure bans out Grespon.
Yes, that is actually a little bit surprising to me that Cure is the one to ban that map, because that is a map that I think of as the player, especially in TVT, because it's rather wide open. I think of that as the map where the more confident player would be the one who would likely take it, at least if it goes to a macro game. That's really interesting to me, because Cure historically has absolutely dominated Spirit. There's no getting around it. But a lot of those matches took place well before Spirit's recent ascension. And with that, well, we're going to get right into it right now. I am so excited. What do you say we get right into it?
Yeah, that's fantastic here. So in the upper left, in the red, he's playing for Storm, and he's looking ascendant, Steadfast, in the last 6 months or so. His name is Spirit.
And his opponent, spawning down in the bottom right for Team Abydos, it is Cure.
Oh man, Steadfast, I've been talking about how good Spirit's been looking over the last 6 months or so. I mean, that Katowice run, everything since then, and realistically, he's gotten even better since Katowice. But that's not fair to Cure, because, I mean, the run that this man has been on, pretty much since Katowice was over, since he kind of maybe underperformed there, has been nothing short of just ascendant, Steadfast. Those GSL runs, everything else he's been doing. It's feeling like Cure's starting to find his 2014 form, or his GSL form, to make it a little bit more recently. This is a Terran that he's maybe not on top of the world, that's Maru, but he's on that upward slope.
I would even say he's second, like the only reason he's not on top of the world is because of Maru. He is a player currently who looks like the Cure that I remember watching and just being so bloody excited about, looking at his play and saying, this is the only guy who's beating Raynor and Serral right now. At a time when Serral and Raynor looked utterly dominant, Cure came out with this fast Widowmine drop drilling claws build that absolutely stunned those two players. Was just a brilliant opening. And it was a little bit of a flash in the pan-ish, but he's always been such a solid, stable player, and we're seeing him get back up to, I would say he's in world championship caliber form at the moment.
Yeah, he certainly is kind of on. I'm gonna say this and then I'm gonna qualify it, because on the one hand, certainly he's on my kind of sleeper picks. He's not Serral or Maru or Raynor or something as kind of a tournament champion here, but he's one of my sleeper picks to really make that deep run, maybe make the podium on that final day. But Steadfast, before we get into this game just a little bit too much, I do want to talk about the openers a little bit, because we have different ones. Spirit, of course, he took that second gas to late. He got his natural just a little bit faster. And of course, that's what we expect out of Spirit, right? He is going to, you give him an opportunity to greed, he is going to greed as hard as he can. And of course, due to the Raven change and some other changes that we had pre-Katowice, you can kind of get away with that a little bit more. There's a little bit more leeway in the openers. But how do you feel about it here, right? Spirit playing a little bit greedier, Cure playing a little bit more aggressive. What are your thoughts here?
Well, this is really interesting because they both went greedy, but Cure hedged his bets. So he went for the gas first reactor, or gas first one racks expand, and he built a command center in the main base. Spirit went Marine first, barracks gas with the fast expansion, and he's already up 4 workers as a result of that. That is significant. Now, as you talked about it, the follow through is very interesting. We are going to see a Marine tank. I was going to say it might be a Marine tank drop, but no, this looks like an actual straight up push. He's reinforcing with a Viking. This feels kind of like one of those Hero Marine, Big Gabe-esque pushes. But in TVP, he normally does that. He's doing this in TVT. This is something we see Gumiho doing a fair bit recently.
So for now, Cure's going to siege to the bunker, and the bunker is going to buy some time. It should eventually go down. Key thing, though, Steadfast, is the Raven is here. Hellions are going to look for the shots. They're going to line them up great. And now Auto Turret just gets dropped, so you get on top of the tank here, and it seems like Spirit is just going to knock this. He gets the tank, Steadfast.
Oh, that's a big defense right there for Spirit. Now, Cure did kill 4 SCVs, and that is equalized things. But make no mistake, Cure was looking to get a lot of value with this, and he is continuing to actually rally forward. Now, we got something very interesting. Spirit's going mech. He is going mech on this map. Oh, and a throwback to Gumiho. This is the position that Gumiho utilized against Maru that put him into such a great position. Oh, this is big. Cure is going to scout the second factory, and he's going to delay the add-on for it. This is really, really nice information. Cure instantly throws down a second starport.
Yeah, so now the tank, oh, that's actually a great lock-on right there, because now the tank can't unsiege, so it's going to be a second dead tank, Steadfast. And yeah, you know what? It's a scout. It shows that the second factory there, Cure, of course, reactively, I think this might actually just be 4 Viking all-in that we're going to see out of this. But still, 2 tanks go down here for Cure. He loses a lot of that pushing power, so for now, Spirit is actually doing a very solid job of making the defense happen, but it's going to be another 3 to 5 minutes maybe before Spirit feels really confident. So for now, it's a lock-on a Marine. That doesn't matter. You need more than that.
Yeah, this is really tricky. I really do think that if this is a reactive build from Cure, it's a great one, because getting air superiority this early on in a versus mech matchup, I mean, that kind of screws the mech player pretty hard. And Cure, he's already able to kind of set up a little bit of a camp situation. He's not quite on top of the starport with the reactor just yet, but he is dangerously close to, I know it's early to say, especially since the trades have been decent for Spirit, he is dangerously close to checkmating his opponent.
Yeah, and the cool thing about this as well, we're not going to see a second reactor on that second starport. This is not Cure going for some sort of like what we're used to seeing from the special, right? The 4 Vikings at a time. He just wants that +1 Viking as quick as possible to really lean on the neck of Spirit. So it's 3 Vikings at a time. And honestly, Steadfast, the fact that Spirit is making Vikings at all is such a problem, because he's just never going to win that fight. Now, the Marines, they run forward on top of this bunker, and their repair is just a little bit slow, so the bunker's going to get busted. Oh. Now, granted, tanks matter just a little bit more here, but it opens up the fight, and now the Vikings are going to land, so that's a dead tank, but Raven's coming from the right side, and they're just going to get gunned down. This is a disaster for Spirit here, Steadfast. This is not what he wants.
No, it is not. He was looking to take air superiority with that, but there's too many Vikings here for Cure. Cure's going to hold the position. Cure is turning this into like a soft contain, or I guess not even that soft. It's a pretty hard contain. I am really getting worried for Spirit here, because he just cannot compete with the superior Viking production of his opponent. Cure, during all this, the 3rd command center is nearly done on location. He's adding on just now additional production. But this is such a strong chokehold he's got on his opponent.
Yeah, now it really begs the question, like, what can Spirit do? What is Spirit's attempt to find his way out? Actually, this is kind of cool, right? You float the barracks, you don't really care, and that gets a tank for free. And theoretically, you can kind of use that to soak some Viking shots to maybe make it happen, but it still doesn't matter because it's 6 Vikings to 2. That's that does not spark joy. That's not going to work out at all. But now the Vikings are going to land, and here comes the break here, and that is a lot of tanks. That's a lot of everything coming on down the ramp. But the problem is, their tanks on the other side, even still, they're going to evaporate the tank line here from Kieran. This actually, it's a fairly decent hold from Spirit. I didn't think it was going to turn out as well as it did. But now you have these, what is that, 8, 9 Vikings in the sky. They can land on whatever they want, and they are just, they're not going to kill Vikings anymore because the Vikings, of course, they're not flying. But they're an assassination squad. They're going to wipe out a mineral line. They're going to wipe out tanks. And Spirit, it feels like he knows he has to move out here. He doesn't really have much of a choice. And now the Vikings, what stops them?
That's the thing. There's nothing that stops them. This was, Spirit feels like it is a necessity that he must go across the map, and he's right. But he doesn't really have much to defend at home. Now, ooh, Cure does get a little bit surrounded, but man, those Vikings just shred SCVs. Oh my God, the mineral line gets gutted. Every unit goes down. Landed Vikings are jacked. And now on the other side of the map, even if Cure has to give up this base,
no way.
That's totally fine. It's totally fine.
Absolutely. It's four tanks do not win this game. There's a liberator here. Like that is the final nail in the coffin. And I appreciate Spirit's idea, right? Get as greedy as possible, moving a mech behind that. New Humanity, if you can get onto 3 bases, is a fairly solid mech map. But despite we're queuing this up, right? You know, that awesome 3-2 series between Spirit and Kira at Katowice, both players looking better and better over the last several months. That was a smashing Steadfast. That was, I mean, Kira just got the scout he needed. He reactively dropped the second starport, built that third Viking every cycle, and Spirit just had nothing. He had no way to come back.
Yeah, no, it makes it so uncomfortable when you get sieged up like that, when you're trying to establish air control and your opponent already gets the leg up on you. And Cure, you know, he was very patient. I do think Spirit, there was a couple of times where Vikings popped out and he continued to build Vikings, and I don't blame him for that, but he needed to be instantly landing those pretty much. Now it's easier said than done. Of course, you don't know when your opponent's going to dart in, but let's say he has maybe 4 or 5 more landed Vikings, maybe even like 3 more landed Vikings. Then, you know, in regards to the counterattack that comes in, maybe he's a little bit less gutted by it. But unfortunately, things worked out the way that they did, or unfortunately for Spirit, very fortunately for Kier. And he looked super comfortable in that game, number 1.
Yeah, you know, I'm a little sad, Steadfast, because it felt like Spirit was making all the proper moves on the first couple holds. You know, you had the Marine tank pressure that it got 4 SCVs, and I guess that is an equalizer. I don't guess that is an equalizer, but that is an equalizer, right? It's not putting Cure ahead, and then the tank drop on the right side didn't really get all that much. It delayed a reactor, delayed a tech lab, something like that briefly, really not finding all that much value. So Spirit was trading well. He was killing tanks, that really taking a lot of power out of that push, but he didn't have any idea that there was a third Viking on the way. And I think maybe if he does it a little bit differently, maybe if you just stop making Vikings in its entirety, you know, you just obviously Kira is going to have air dominance there. You really can't contest it. So you on extreme drop a third factory and start building cyclones out of it or something, which probably is not the best move, but you commit to the ground harder because you know your opponent's going to have the air. Maybe that's going to work out, but it sounds like for now we have game number 2 ready and on altitude on the bottom left here in the red. He's down a game. It is Spirit.
And his opponent spawning up at the top right for Team Abydos, looking to continue his success and put himself at that 1-0 position. It is Cure.
Certainly. That game 1 was the cure for all that ails him.
Yeah, this was, and this is interesting. It looks like we're going to see another 1 racks expand from Cure. I wonder if he'll go high ground again. This time, Spirit saying, I'm down 0-1. You know, I don't want to lose to a proxy 2 racks. You are a Korean player. The Koreans are obviously very well known for cheesing at least once in a best of X series. I don't blame him for going double gas here, but that will mean that if Cure does go for that 1 racks expand, especially if he ends up going low ground this time, it's going to set up the Blue Terran in a really nice position.
Well, maybe. There is, of course, the world where Spirit with this double racks factory type of opener, right? Which, of course, you delay your command center a little bit. You can run across the map. You go up to 5 Vikings and 3 Hellions or something, and you dive in and you really equalize things. Granted, you know, it's a big map. Abydos, or not Abydos, Altitude is by far the longest map in the pool. 38-second rush distance there, natural to natural. But certainly, Spirit, I mean, Hellions are fast, Reapers are fast. You can maybe make that happen. But this is also Spirit steadfast. And regardless of whether Spirit opens aggressively, defensively, you know, on top of this single gas, double gas type of thing, he's not one of those players that I think of when I say, oh yeah, he's going to run across the map. He's going to try to get aggressive. Spirit more likely is just going to use this opener to sit on his high ground and make sure he doesn't die, which, considering the fact that Cure has gotten greedy, that's maybe not the best move.
Well, and that's the tricky part of TBT, and that's why, you know, players will, you know, proxy 2 racks in order to keep their opponent from doing the 1 racks expand. It's very bold now. Okay, this is very interesting from Spirit. Very interesting. He is going to proxy a starport and switch the factory onto the tech or onto the reactor. Yeah, this looks like a Hellion drop. I am very interested in how, I don't know that I've ever seen these 2 builds interact, because this is 1 racks expand into the quick reactor Hellions for Cure versus a reactor Hellion drop from his opponent. That is, this is maybe the first time these 2 builds have ever interacted at the pro level. I don't know that they ever have. This is very uncommon.
Yeah, and like you would think, right, against a some sort of Reaper expand that we're seeing out of Cure, you would think, oh yeah, Hellion drops are great. You're going to be very diminished. You're going to be on a 1-1-1. You're going to have some Marines. You're going to have a bunker maybe in the natural. You're not going to have a ton of stuff. But the fact that there are 4 Hellions on the map, actually more than that, Cure's going up to 6 Hellions here. That actually makes this kind of rough for Spirit, depending on where Cure positions, because, well, Hellions are light units.
Ooh.
They counter each other a little bit.
I saw that on the mini map. I saw the SCV going down for the depot, and I was like, that's a clutch SCV.
Oh, it's
perfectly
great.
timed for Cure. It's going to see this coming. And that will give him a little bit of extra time. Raven is going to be able to drop an auto turret to potentially help clean this up faster. Spirit doesn't need a ton of damage, but he does need something with this. Oh, nice micro right there from Cure, baiting the Hellions around. And some good body blocking as well. 2 SCVs go down. Cure still comes out ahead. Oh, nice micro in the natural there from Cure, but Spirit will still get 1 extra SCV. Oh, and some nice juggling on the Hellions. Okay, yeah, that pretty much evens things out. But the starport is still proxied.
Yeah. It's like, yeah, you got 4 workers. He's up a worker now. That's great for Spirit. Fine. The starport's still on the other side. And is that...
Yeah.
Starport is building more stuff. Yeah, I got a tech lab. It's building Ravens out of it. There's follow-up here. Now, granted, this Hellion drop is optimistic at the best. There are 5 Hellions in Cure's main base. Your single Hellion is not going to do anything. But you add in a Raven. Maybe, just maybe. But Cure's... he's reactoring out Vikings. This is not going to work.
No, he's just building the Raven to have Ravens. Yeah, that's something you can definitely do. Spirit did get a little bit supply blocked at 54, cutting into his production just a little bit. Of course, losing out on those SCVs and losing out on those important factory units, especially when you have proxied something on the map, does make it a little bit funky. Cure, like you said, reactoring out some Vikings makes this very bad for Spirit. Trying to get in, he loses the medevac. Oh, that is brutal. Couple of Hellions go down, but that medevac is a lot more valuable, especially with all the Marines that were inside. And now these Cyclones are kind of trapped. They will grab a Raven. That is quite nice, but losing 2 Cyclones and maybe losing his own Raven. Oh, okay. It's 29 army supply to 5.
Yeah, I like the ideas coming out of Spirit here. You know, Hellion drop against a 1 rack expand seems brilliant, right? It seems like it would work out really well, but it's not. And now Spirit is in a really rough position. He's getting a bunker at his natural. That's a useful thing, Steadfast, but against, and in fairness to Cure, or to Spirit actually, this army from Cure is not the beefiest. It's not a sieging army. But even still, I mean, it's gonna be a long, hard slog if Spirit has any shot at coming back here. Now there's a tank on the map, so now we have our siege thing. Now we have something that can start to knock this bunker down. I'm not quite sure exactly what Spirit's supposed to do. Now he shuts down the tank briefly, but there's no break there, so that doesn't really do all that much for him now, does it?
No, it buys him time, but that didn't let him get a siege on top of his opponent. Kier, by the way, did get supply blocked at 76. Was it 76, 76? 78, 78. And that's why the supply is just equalized, because Kier actually lost out on like maybe a full round and a half of production. So that's why supplies actually are suddenly equal again. But the air superiority is a big deal. Now, we do have Spirit with a ton of Marines. If he can get the right interference matrices, he can potentially just murder this army. Ooh, Kier might think he's denying stim. Combat shields, it's good to get that. Really good. But he might overestimate his setup. Ooh, there's the interference matrices. Marines are going to stim in. Hellions need to be shooting at those Marines, but they're not. And that means that Spirit will get a cleanup. But Kier in the main base, he just killed multiple production buildings, I think.
Yeah, I think he just got a barracks, and he's going to get the reactor as well. So, you know what? Shooting that down, knocking that down is fantastic for Spirit. It really is kind of making the best of a bad situation. But losing your production, especially on this timing that Spirit had, where he does have stim faster, right? That was maybe something he was going to be able to play with. Now he's on one barracks. Now his Marine count is not going to skyrocket nearly as... He's building 5 barracks at a time. He's building 6. He has to, right? He needs this to make sure he can start to build what he has to build. But 6 barracks at a time is just not where you want to spend your money.
No, this has become a really funky game. Oh, the Raven. Oh, this double snipe. Very nice from Kier right there. Gets 2 Ravens that were left hanging. Oh, my goodness. Well, I was just going to say, this is really nice for Spirit. He's still got 3 Ravens, you know? He's got the faster 1-1. Even though his infrastructure was slowed down, he's rebuilt it at a very quick rate. And it's not like he lost that many SCVs, so he's still actually in a decent spot economically. Oh, and now he's going for a big Doom drop. Imagine this with 3 Ravens instead of 1.
Well, he's going to actually get past 4 missile turrets, and granted, actually, not a full unload there, unfortunate, but even still, he gets in, and really, Kier was not expecting that whatsoever. So 14 workers hit the deck now. Kier not going to get supply block. Oh, actually, he is, but now the stim goes in. Tank gets targeted down here, and with no medevacs because of those missile turrets. Well, Kier is going to clean it up, but now Spirit with a marked economic lead here, 69-70 to 54. Army supplies, you know, not actually all that bad, considering we can assume Spirit has a decent tank out at home. All of a sudden here, you know, I'm not going to say he's in a great spot. Losing 3 medevacs worth of stuff is a little awkward, but this is a very playable game for our Polish Terran now.
Yeah, it certainly is. The main thing he's got to be worried about, only 2 tanks on the field right now, is until, for one, combat shields completes, because for now his Marines are going to be far inferior to those of his opponent, and additionally is the fact that he doesn't have a ton of tanks. Now, his +2 armor, he didn't have the gas for it right away, but quick into that 4th command center on location. I really like the way that Spirit is kind of playing this on the follow-throughs. Now, this double drop in the main base, oh my god, if he denies combat shields again, that could actually be, that could be such a gut punch.
Oh man, oh, he stims, no, he's just gonna target the command center down.
Oh.
Yeah, he's gonna force the reaction here, and I mean, Kier could have gotten combat shields, but now that's a meat grinder. That's horrible. So many Marines are gonna go down into the 3rd base. Also heavily sieged your Spirit. He's stuck between a rock and a hard place at this point, Steadfast. I mean, he's gonna have to repair this 3rd base. He has to lift it. I mean, luckily he's got that 4th base on location, but what a move from Kier there. No missile turrets in the main because Spirit got greedy. Just trying to make the defense happen. And now, okay, that's a nice target fire. Denies the drop into the main. But now tanks are going to siege up the main base of Spirit again. And every little bit of something that Spirit has gained over the last 30, 45 seconds a minute, it's now just rapidly falling down.
Oh, and even the Liberator is going to get taken down. That is very unfortunate. It was a clever move from Spirit, but the fact that Cure kept that drop alive is very nice. Counterattack on the other side of the map, that's going to get met head on. It is not going to get what it needs to done. Not even close. And Cure, man, he is just so solid and stable in this matchup. He's so good. He's so good. The second Liberator for Spirit will slowly start to push this back. And we do have to mention that there is another base available. Oh, a little bit of an oopsie right there with the medevac. That's not ideal. And you know what? If Spirit can actually clean this up cost efficiently right here, right now, before the reinforcements get across the map, this could be an amazing position, actually. And he will kind of spread out the tank fire with a great set flank. That was an excellent cleanup from Spirit. And he says, no, Steadfast, I'm not out yet. You do not count me out.
Yeah, it was a little bit awkward, right? He triggered the nice attempt at a break before his army was totally in position. But you're right. He has 4 bases now. And here sims up the ramp onto the 4th. He's like, oh, crap, there's a planetary here. Maybe I haven't shattered this economy as hard as I thought I had. But the big deal now, here, first of all, +1 armor or +1 attack for his mech units done right now. But more importantly, he's got his 3-3 about a third of the way done, maybe a quarter of the way done, something in that neighborhood. And Spirit hasn't started his, right? Because he's lost out on the gas on that 3rd base, because his economy, despite having that 4th, that's kind of that saving grace, really hurting. But for now, okay, army is in the middle of the map here. Cure stims onto the 3rd base. Liberator looks to get a little bit more, but again, Spirit, he's just out. He loses the 3rd base. All that we're talking about, okay, maybe this isn't as bad. He loses his 3rd orbital now. That is not nearly as nice as we could have thought.
That is a brutal setup here. Now, we do see the siege position from Spirit is dangerous for this 4th command center. But on the other side of the map, those Marines are going to be quite a problem to deal with. Now, Cure has enough. Oh, he's just going to move the tanks right up on top of this. The Marines are so choked up for Spirit. That is brutal for him. And that is going to allow Cure to take a commanding fight. And I think that might just take all the wind out of the sails of Spirit's push here. Oh, that was starting to look like maybe he could get something done. And he will jump these Marines. Okay, so he's going to be able to clear that up on the other side of the map. That's nice. And the supplies are still even, but you mentioned it a while ago, the 3-3 upgrades are a problem. Spirit, though, he's going to try and win this with Liberators, it seems like.
Yeah, I mean, I like that fight that Spirit took on the Zelnaga, right? You have a little bit better vision. You are able, theoretically, to have your tanks firing a little bit sooner, but now it's just snowballing. Now it's a problem, and that last hold, right, where Spirit made it happen, he was equal on army supply, even as it got a little awkward, even as Spirit, oh, that's actually a couple great shots there on the tanks. He's going to get another one down, but there are not enough Marines to defend these Liberators, I don't think, but as Spirit down 20 army supply, down 30 army supply, takes a pretty solid fight. But again, he's down a base on Cure. He wasn't able to crack the 4th, and now it truly almost doesn't matter how good of a fight that Spirit takes, because his economy is just going to be such a problem that he won't be able to reinforce, even if he does take 4 cost-effective trades. As now Bio stims in again. Liberators keep this alive, but keep your eyes on the blob on the right side, Steadfast, because that's a big army that Cure's getting ready to pounce with.
Yeah, it is. Now, there is that planetary on the 4th base, but Spirit, okay, he knows he just doesn't have enough. I think he looked at the upgrades and saw how late his 3-3 was and that Cure's was done. It might look a little bit underwhelming, but it was a 50 army supply advantage. Cure had all the momentum, and he takes the first series of the day. It's just another day at the office here for the stable, solid Terran.
Yeah, it's funny. I was looking at this, and it's like I had inside of me there were 2 wolves. One wolf was saying this is going to be a really, really great series, right? Rematch of Katowice. Look how good Spirit's been getting. But the other wolf was in my ear saying, yeah, but Cure beat Mar. Actually, Cure didn't beat Mar necessarily, but like Cure is having a really solid resurgence there in Korea. He makes top 4 of the GSL. Like, he's looking really good, and he almost beat Mara. There we go. In GSL in the semifinals semifinals on Thursday. So the fact that I'm like, this might be good, but it seems like the other wolf was right, and Cure's looking terrifying. What can you say?
Yeah, no, that's it. He looks dominant. He looks dominant. I mean, for me, I mentioned it historically. He has been extremely strong against Spirit. Uh, Even though most of those games were before Spirit's, I would say, ascendancy. Even in the recent games since then, we still have Cure with a pretty solid record versus Spirit, and he continues it again today. Just very well played from Cure. Didn't really make any significant mistakes and kept the pressure on, unrelenting.
Yeah, it was. It felt like Spirit would get away with whatever he wanted to in the early game. Well, maybe game two was rough, but like he had himself in a decent position, for the first 5 minutes, and then Kier would just turn it on, and just absolutely start to smash, and it just felt like there was no chance after that. But you know what? We actually got an opportunity to take a look at what happened in those last games because this is Gamers8. We got highlights, and that's pretty awesome.
Mhm.
We don't. We're back. Okay, there we go. Maybe
It's
we get
me.
highlights.
That's my alter ego. That's crazy fast right there. He is my different but same. Different but same. But yeah, no, I mean, talking about that series a little bit, we did see in that game number one, Cure was very comfortable to go for just that brief contain. And now there we go. Now we'll take a look at it here.
Yeah, and I think when we talk about this steadfast, I think this kind of is emblematic of what we looked at because that was a great hold from Spirit at the start, but then Cure just realized what he had to do, and all of a sudden, even these solid early games, they just fell apart so quickly to Cure's just unrelenting pressure. Because I guess right now it just feels like he understands TVT maybe just a little bit better.
Yeah, I think we're seeing a lot of so game one especially
Hmm.
was Cure playing very different from we're used to seeing him play TVT in general. That's not to say he can't play this style. It's that we don't often see him play that, kind of channeling Gumiho a little bit. Uh, of course, the landed Vikings, that move to crush the first tank that was in the natural expansion, we saw that about 30 seconds ago. That was such a solid move. Spirit tried to break with the auto turrets, and that wasn't the play because he needed those interference matrices. In game number two, we're seeing, of course, just the big fights taking place. But I do think that one early interference matrix from Spirit was a little bit of an oopsie. Uh, didn't really achieve too much for him. But that's the thing about Cure 2 is that he's just so solid at every stage of the game that you really can't make any mistakes at any point if he's firing on all cylinders. Otherwise, he is going to punish you for them. And we saw that kind of throughout, where, even right before the very end when he sniped the third command center, he scanned the main army. His army was only not even a full screen away. It was just out of vision. He's just like, don't mind if I do. And he just takes the free third command center. And it's like, Cure kind of in a weird way lets the match come to him. And that's exactly what we saw there. And he just looked so solid. And it's kind of what we were talking about. He looks good.
Yeah, he did. I think we also can't underestimate how big. I don't know whether it was one or two barracks. I'm not quite sure how much was removed from the map from that push in game two. But we can't underestimate just how important that was. Losing combat shields is rough, absolutely. But with the stim timing that Spirit had, if he'd been able to produce out of 3 barracks instead of 1, with how good that break was, because he knocked all the tanks down. He knocked a lot of the tech off the map from Cure. And by the way, Medivacs died on the follow-up drop, like everything died. That could have been a powerful reprisal. You run across the map there. I think he actually could have broken the third. Instead, he had to triple drop in the main, and he gets 14 workers, and it's maybe a bit of an equalizer there, but he loses the entire thing because there are 4 missile turrets set up at 7 minutes into the main, and it's just like, oh, man, imagine you had the production to really sustain that push. But that is our first series of the day. Spirit 0-1, Cure 1-0. But we have 3 more, 0-0 matches on the way. Of course, Creator and Cyril are in game 3 on the mainstream right now, which is means Creator took a game off Cyril, which is massive, by the way. But we're going to have our own second series ready after the break. It's going to be Hero and Hero Marine Steadfast. But for now, going to a break. When we're back, it's going to be that PvT.